Hey guys, Dr. Dex here. Today I want to talk to you about sharpening your chainsaw chains. I have hundreds of these things that I've bought over the years because I looked at them kind of like a disposable thing. $12, $15 a piece, kind of like a saw blade. And then I realized that I had so many, I ended up going somewhere and purchasing a chainsaw sharpener right here. So if you like what you see, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell icon to be notified when we're putting out new content. All right, so basically, whoops, of course, the second I pull out the chain, it gets all discombobulated. I know there's a secret to this, but I just usually try to roll these two. There we go. All right, so this is a 16-inch chain. I use it on my cordless chainsaw. The minute you hit a nail, dirt, rocks, concrete, anything hard, you can dull your chain. Chainsaw I use a lot in my construction because I cut various angles and all kinds of unique sharp points and things like that. So a chainsaw is a tool that I use on every job basically, unless I'm building just a basic square. And sometimes I still use it to cut all my joists. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, just depends on what I'm doing. So what I have here is I have a Chicago Electric chainsaw sharpener from Harbor Freight Tools. I don't think I paid over $50 for this device. So if I sharpen 5 chains with it, I'm pretty much made my money back by being able to reuse the chains. I have an entire box full of chains, but I probably got 75 chains that need to be sharpened. It takes a few minutes to do one chain. So usually I'll do 10 or 20 at a time, take them to the job site, and as I get dull chains, I just swap them out and then bring those home and then put them in the pile, and then I just do a whole bunch at once. Because you'll see that to come in and do just one chain is not super efficient, but you know, just depends on your speed and what you need and how many chains and how good or bad of a chainsaw artist you are. All right. So basically, there's better ones on the market. I know there is, but I was just like, I was at Harbor Freight one day, I was like getting some cheap tools. I'm like, I'm gonna get one of these. And it actually works surprisingly well. So what it is, I like using this a lot better than a hand file with a gauge or something like that. There's your base unit, which I've actually mounted to my bench. Now I've actually hit this with my forklift. You can see the additional screws that I've had to put into the base of this thing. It's hammered, but it still works. So I was like, well, no need to buy another one if this one's working, okay? So there's angles you can set up for the different types of chains that you may have. I'm putting mine on a 35-degree angle right now because that's about what the angle is on my chain. Now there's the right and the left. Your chains usually alternate right and left. When you go up and down the chain, you're going to sharpen every other blade of the chain. So except in one place on the chain, sometimes there's a double, which is the same right or same left. It's where it's connected. So we'll figure that out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my chain into this track. Now this track spins like so, which I don't use these little things here. They're kind of a waste. But what happens is when you get your chain in place and you want to start sharpening your first piece, there's this little lever right here, this thing that just flips down. And as long as you're backed up against that, you're ready to go. Because when you turn this on and drop this blade down, what this handbrake does is it activates a system that locks the chain and keeps it from moving. So now I can't move the chain. Because this is a value price tool, there's a lot of play in it. Plus I broke it, remember? I hit it with my forklift. So when you come down on this, you might have to move this a little bit to get it to sharpen correctly, okay? So, but that's what I'll do. I'll find the right sweet spot, and you don't need to sharpen it for a super long time. It only takes 2-3 seconds. Once you have this locked in, and this is a part that where you use the handbrake to kind of lock the chain, and then once you are done with that, sharpening that one blade, then you pull it. You have to pull it twice, because if you pull it once, this chain's going a different angle. So you pull it again to the next one, and then you sharpen that one, and then you pull again, and you sharpen that one, and then you'll pull again, and you'll just keep sharpening every other chain or every other blade on the chain, okay? And then once you get one side done, you got to change the angle around and do the other side. So there's an on-off switch right on the back of this device. There's also a depth setter right here if you need to set your depth. I usually just go by feel though. I don't use this too often, but you could if you feel like you're over sharpening your chains and you want to be a little bit more accurate, because you can get 2 or 3 sharpenings, 4 sharpenings if you don't have serious damage and you just maybe ticked a nail or maybe hit the dirt or something like that. So, or you just used it a lot and the chain's dull and you just need to give it a quick sharpening. So we're gonna do that. Now sometimes when I'm sharpening chains, I like to identify where I start, even though you might be able to tell, oh yeah, this blade's been sharpened because it's silver instead of dark, have a dark dirt color, whatever, sap on it. I usually paint one with some fingernail polish or a Sharpie or something, just so I know I've made my full revolution. So I'm gonna go grab a Sharpie really quick, or a paint pen. So I'll paint this first one red. So then once I get through my full revolution and I come back to that red chain, or that red blade, we'll call them blades, I'm not sure what the right terminology is. I'm sure somebody will correct me on that. I appreciate it. But once we make our full turn, then we can change the angle of the blade. So here we go. Don't forget to always wear eye protection when you're doing this. So just so happens, I have some glasses with me. So protect your eyes, guys. Okay, so here we go. It's not very loud. The loudest part of this is when it hits the chain. So I've activated the brake. Now I'm gonna kind of kneel down here. All right, that's one. You can see this chain's really hammered. I must have hit something really hard with it. So I'm gonna come down and I'm probably gonna sharpen that one quite a bit. Not quite, it's looking a lot better, but you can see the tip has still got a little bit of a dullness to it. So I'm gonna see if I can't sharpen that out. But this chain might be, this might be the last time I sharpen it. All right, that looks pretty good. You can see how much shorter this blade, how much shorter it is than this blade. So I had to take quite a bit out of this one, but it's nice and sharp now, so it still should cut pretty good. All right, now I'm gonna go to the next one. And that one's really short too, so you can tell that I've sharpened this chain before because that blade is really short. All right, so we've made our complete revolution. So the chain's half done. So now we gotta turn the angle to the other direction to sharpen the rest of this chain. So there's a knob underneath this angle. We loosen that up. We turn it back over to 35 degrees the other way, tighten it up. Now we're gonna sharpen the other side, the other angle of the chain. I'm going to leave this painted piece right here. I'm gonna start the one behind it, so when this thing comes back around, I'll know that I've sharpened all of my links, okay? Here we go. This link is hammered, so I'm gonna try to grind it a little bit more to get that tip sharp. That looks pretty good. There's my red mark. So this will be the last link to sharpen on this chain. So I'm gonna pull this back. Here we go. All right, guys. So that pretty much gives you a refresh chain. This one's ready to go back to the job site. You know, I did notice on a couple of these links that they're getting kind of short. So this is probably the third time I've used this chain. It may get us another sharpening and be able to get through it. That took us, what, about 5 minutes? You're gonna spend about 5 minutes per chain, maybe 10 minutes per chain sharpening these. But then they do work really good. When I take this back to the site, it works almost as good as when it was brand new. I wouldn't say it works just like brand new, but it's enough to get you through all your rough framing and even some semi-finished cuts. So thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Don't forget to click that subscribe button and hit that bell icon if you want to be notified when we're putting out new content. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.